Chris, welcome. What makes our shortage different from the UK's?
Well, I think the UK is experiencing something that's Brexit induced. It was largely fueled by immigration. So when you have a lot of the products that are coming into Great Britain, a lot of it, including fuel, driven by Eastern European drivers, they're now stuck at Calais. It's more of a processing problem of getting those trucks into the country to deliver their goods. So that's a little bit different feel. Our problem is a lot more vast. It's got a lot more factors attributing to it. We're seeing port inefficiencies. You've seen the backlog of ships. If you look at Asia, too, they're operating at 50% pre-COVID manufacturing levels. Their ships are just as backed up in their ports as ours. But you've also got a lot of other factors, including driver and worker shortages, chip shortages, pipeline hacks, a whole host of factors, including things we don't control, like natural disasters. You layer all that with COVID. It's amazing that our supply chain is as resilient as it is, but these are all factors that contribute. And then the driver shortage on top of it,
Right.
Getting talent back into the trucking industry is going to be key to gluing the economy back together.
I'm glad you brought up the Brexit issue. It would seem that their problems are more acute. Maybe ours are more chronic. They lost a lot of drivers overnight, like you said, and then they have sort of these holdups at the ports now. Whereas the warnings that we have about 1 million, vacancies is really over the next decade. So I listen to these discussions and you think, okay, is it just going to be we're warned, nothing really happens? Or is it we're being warned, and all of a sudden it gets really bad and everyone goes, oh, why didn't we do anything about this? You know what I mean? Which way do you think we're headed?
Well, it's inflated now because everybody's experiencing a shortage. You see it at grocery stores, to restaurants, even airlines with pilots and flight attendants. Everybody's experiencing it. Our view is welcome to the show. We came into the pandemic with a 61,000 employee shortage on drivers, and now we're predicting 160,000 short over the next 7 years. So this is a problem that we've been working on for years, not just COVID induced. So we've got to look at existing drivers. We've got to look at what they're paid. We've got to look at their health care, wellness programs, their training. We've got to go after exiting service members, veterans, urban hiring, women and minorities, even younger people, and bringing new talent into the industry. These things don't happen quickly. They're a long-term investment into the industry to ensure that we can move more goods with more trucks and drivers. Right now, we're having to move a lot more with a lot fewer trucks and drivers, and that's the strain.
There are two things that leap out at me. One is that the wage level is not all that high for a very demanding job. I mean, we had the average number there is $47,000 a year. These are experienced people in many cases with who have specialized knowledge and skill. That's number one. So I'd like to have you address that. The other thing is the average age of the drivers and the fact that so many of them are really probably getting ready to retire. How do you get more younger drivers in the pipeline? And one way, obviously, would be to raise pay.
Well, the existing workforce is a reflection of the problem. We do have an aging workforce. We're averaging around 50, which is very high over the national average. The pay is also an issue, and it's something we've recognized. But if you look at all modes in the transportation sector, trucking is paying more in salary increases over the last 7 years than any other mode. So we are paying more. I think healthcare, wellness programs, training, also image matters. And I think we have a very patriotic, hardworking, loyal workforce. They've been out there doing this throughout pandemic. Delivering the PPE, now the vaccines, making certain that our country comes out of this COVID rut. But we really need to take a hard look long term at where we attract that new talent. 18 to 20-year-olds is definitely an area that we want to explore. They're not currently allowed under federal law to cross state lines, although 49 states allow an 18-year-old to drive. So doing interstate commerce, we've got to invest more in training so that they can safely and responsibly operate that equipment. We send our 18 to 20-year-olds overseas to protect our freedom. I'm pretty sure we can train them to drive a Class 8 across state lines.